pretty hot. We got two wide receivers going in around round 2, round 3, around that turn. We got Michael Pittman versus Nico Collins. So, Jay, let's hear it, baby. I know you got a lot to say about Michael Pittman, but talk to me, man. Talk to me.
This is a player for me. I don't understand the hate, bro. I don't understand the hate for Michael Pittman, who, everybody's so excited about Marvin Harrison Jr. and he's a player's son. I'm like, do we not remember like Michael Pittman is a player's son too? All the hype that he's getting. And I'm like, we've seen Michael Pittman grow as a player over the last few seasons, right? So under Shane Steichen last year, Michael Pittman had 156 targets. Do we think that's just going to change? Is the offensive mindset just going to change for a player who had over 100 catches last year? And I get it. You're like, Anthony Richardson, he's the quarterback. He's inaccurate. He's a runner. He's got to stay healthy. The good thing about that is if he don't stay healthy, they got Flacco, who we know is going to laser focus in on a receiver. But I think Anthony Richardson can carry. We saw 11 targets for Michael Pittman in their first game together. And not to mention, he's also grown in targets over his first years in the league, right? He went from 129 targets 3 years ago to 141 targets 2 years ago. Last year, 156 targets. They just signed him. They just re-signed him to be a premier receiver in the league. So he had 109 catches last year, 1,152 yards. The only place that he can really get better in that I think would just catapult his value would be touchdowns. Otherwise, we'd be talking about Michael Pittman as like a top 10 pick. He's had 4 touchdowns in back-to-back seasons. So if he can get to like the 8 to 10 touchdown range, we're talking about a whole different player. And especially if he gets the yardage up just a little bit, it don't got to be a lot. We know A-Rich likes to push the ball downfield. Give me Michael Pittman at wide receiver 17 value right now. He finishes a wide receiver 13 last year, and he's got a lot bigger things in store this season.
Okay, I could rock with that. A few rebuttals on Michael Pittman. And Michael Pittman's just somebody who's just not a P guy. He's in an offense where, you and I, we grew up watching these run first quarterbacks, whether it's Colin Kaepernick, Michael Vick, but these players who are in this kind of like one read offense where it's his first read, it's designed for him, Michael Pittman, right? So he's going to be that one read. If it's not open, it's not there. The issues I got with Michael Pittman is just like what you mentioned, bro. His touchdowns, he just doesn't profile as a touchdown type of guy. When they're in the red zone, because most of his targets are between the 20s.
Bro, 6'4". Let's stop that.
He's 6'4", but most of his he's been 6'4" his whole career. And he only had 6, 4, and 4 the last 3 years in terms of touchdowns. So you were spot on. But when it comes to his red zone targets, that's the biggest issue I have with him. In the red zone, they like to not only run with Jonathan Taylor, but also now they're going to be running with A-Rich. They're going to be getting their tight ends a lot more involved. And not to mention, they drafted they've been drafting wide receivers the last 2 years. So although, I like Pittman as a player, I got to give it to Nico. Last year, we seen Nico break out his first year with a stud QB. They opened up the offense once they seen what type of QB they have. He may be in a little bit more of a crowded wide receiver group this year. I don't see Diggs coming in and taking that alpha role because we've seen them pay Nico to be that alpha number 1 wide receiver. He's getting wide receiver 1 money. And he profiles as an X wide receiver, 6'3", runs a sub 4.4 40. Was it 4.38, 4.39, some odd like that. He didn't play a full season, right? He started 10 games. Still almost 1,300 yards and 8 touchdowns. Average depth per target, A-dot. It's around 12, which is dope. But that just tell you that he's a big play guy, bro. On the outside, he's cooking. He's fast. They look for him in the red zone. Imagine those numbers. If you got to take a little bit away from Diggs, imagine him slated out for a full season. What do you think his numbers would be? They may remain the same. They may remain a little bit better. But in my opinion, he just got way more upside.
It's This is an interesting debate because this is also where I think there's a lot of other people who are wondering about like wide receiver ones versus wide receiver twos on their team. Guys who share the same type of workload, a 1A, 1B scenario, which you're talking about with Diggs and Nico Collins of some sort. We don't know who the clear 1A is in this. We're going to find out here closer to the season. But we know who that is in Indy. You talked about other receivers. We're worried about Alec Pierce, Josh Downs, who's out for 4 to 6 weeks, and A.D. Mitchell. Is this the receivers we're worried about? Oh, they're going to get it to their tight ends. We're talking about Mo Alley Cox. Who the hell are we talking about right now, bro? Like, who are these other weapons on the Colts? Yes, it's going to be Anthony Richardson in the red zone. Yes, it's going to be Jonathan Taylor in the red zone. But Michael Pittman is also going to be in the red zone a little bit more than he has been. So I get it. He hasn't had the red zone success that we've wanted to see out of a person with his frame. He has the frame for it. Mm-hmm. But I think this team has got to adjust because teams are going to start to crowd the box. That's what's going to happen in the red zone. You got A-Rich, you got Taylor. Teams are going to crowd the box. Give me Michael Pittman all day, man. And I'm not worried about Nico Collins, who's in a timeshare. Don't even know if he's the 1A, 1B, or 1C on his own team. That's what he has to figure out because some people like Tank Dell on the squad. And guess what? He got paid, but he got paid old Stephon Diggs money. What you think about that, bro? That 22 mil. Same that Stephon Diggs got 5 years ago.
Yeah, well, when Stephon Diggs came, he got his contract reduced to a 1-year contract. So that should tell you who it is. I don't think it's a 1A, 1B situation. I think he's going to be the number one. But I also think in terms of just that offense, like, because there's a give and take. You know, last year he put up 1,300 yards, 1,297 to be exact. 3 yards off of 1,300. Huge splash plays.
It should have been a bigger year.
Say that again?
It should have been a bigger year for him.
Oh, it should have been huge. I mean, he only started 10 games.
Yeah, because he's injury prone as hell. That's why.
Bro, listen, man, and we can't factor in injury because you know, I mean, it's still up for in the air for Anthony Richardson, which is Michael Pittman's quarterback. But this is the whole point is I really believe the fact that Diggs lining up in the slot is going to actually open up more for these huge gains for Nico Collins. So I mean, you know, we could beat a dead horse, but unless you got any other rebuttals, we could go on to the next ones.
Shit, we already demolished that whole conversation, bro. We good.
Doesn't sound like that to me. But okay, but yeah, let's go in and let's cook something here real quick.